Section 6.4, solving polynomial equations. Here we're going to solve them by graphing and also by factoring. Let's take a look at the procedure to solve by graphing. Step 1, we want to set the equation equal to 0. Step 2, enter the equation into our y-editor in our calculator. 3, to determine the zeros or solutions, we're going to use the Calculate tab on our calculator. And remember, anytime I'm looking for a solution of a polynomial, they are the x-intercepts and zeros of the polynomial. Let's take a look at our first example to solve by graphing. Here I'm given 8x squared minus 12x. Number 1, I want to set that to 0, so that gives me 8x squared minus 12x on both sides. Now it's set to 0. I want to put that into my y-editor of my calculator. Y, 8x squared minus 12x. And let's graph. I can see my polynomial in my window, but I can get a better look by reducing my y min and also my x max and x min. Let's go to Window. For our x min, I'm going to try a minus 5. For our x max, I'm going to try 5. And for our y min, I'm going to try a negative 5. See if we can get a better look at our graph. Then go back and graph that function. And I do get a better look. You can see I see my x-intercepts, which are my solutions. Now I need to calculate those. And I'm going to do that as I have in the past by second calculate. And I want to find a 0. And remember what we do is we find the left bound, enter, right bound, enter, and then guess. So my first one is going to be 0, 0. And my next one, I want to calculate again by second calculate. And number 2, which is 0. And then scroll to the left of my next intercept. Enter. Right bound, enter, and then guess. Those are our x-intercepts, so our solutions are going to be x equal to 1.5 and x equal to 0. Again, we want to solve this polynomial equation by graphing. To begin with, I'm going to set it to 0 by adding 5x squared to both sides. That gives me 2x to the 4th plus 5x squared. Subtract 6x from both sides. Gives me a minus 6x equals 0. Let's put this into the calculator by entering it into our y-editor. That's going to give me 2x to the 4th plus 5x squared minus 6x. Now I can graph this. And again, let's zoom in to get a better look at our graph. So I can go to our window. And again, let's reduce this to a negative 5. Positive 5 for my x min and x max. And let's reduce to a negative 5 on my y min. That should give us a better window to view our graph. And as you can see, we have x-intercepts, and I can calculate that by second calculate, number 2, which is a 0. And I want to be to the left bound of my first 0, enter. To the right bound, enter, guess. My intercept is 0, 0. One solution is 0 for x. And my next one, using the same procedure, scroll to the left bound. My y value needs to be negative. It is. Enter. My y value means to be positive because it switches between positive and negative. I have a 0 in between. Press enter. Guess. And that gives me an x value of 0.9042. So I have my two x-intercepts, and my solutions are going to be x equal to 0.904 and x equal to 0. Let's take a look at our last example by graphing. Again, I want to set it to 0. That's going to give me x cubed minus 4x squared. Subtract 3x on both sides. That sets my polynomial to 0. Now I'll just substitute into my calculator. That's going to give me x cubed minus 4x squared minus 3x. I'm going to hit zoom 6 for our standard window. And you can see I can zoom in on my x and y max and min, and also I need to go lower on my y min. Let's go to window. I think I can go to a minus 4 for my min, 5 for my max, and probably to about a negative 30 on my y min. Still to a scale of 3. And then graph. That's a better picture of my polynomial. As you can see, I think I have 2 zeros in here, so I need to calculate that. I need to calculate the 0, so second calculate, number 2. I need to be a positive and negative on my y-axis, and then I know that there's a 0 in between. So as you can see here, as I scroll, my y value is going to go from negative to positive, so I can go back down. Notice my y value is negative. I press enter. I scroll to the right one. My y value goes positive, so there's got to be a 0 in between there. So I press enter again. It asks for a guess. I press enter. That gives me a negative 0.650 for one solution. I go back. Second, calculate again, number 2. And my y value is positive. And I need to see it go from positive to negative. Therefore, I would know there's a 0 in between. And there it went from positive to negative. So I'm going to go back up from my left bound. It's positive y value. Enter. Now it's a negative y value. Enter. Now it's going to ask to guess. That gives me my next solution at the origin, where x is 0. And finally, my last x-intercept or solution. I have a negative y value. I scroll again. It's a positive y value. Therefore, I know there's a 0 in between. So I go to the left bound of that, which is negative y value. Scroll to the right, where it's going to become positive y value. Press enter. Then it's going to ask for a guess. And I have 4.6. So my solutions, or x-intercepts, or zeros, are x equal to 4.65, x equal to 0, and x equal to a negative 0.646.